Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads and must converses the channel. Thanks for coming by. Happy Friday. Love it. I love it. Every time we do a live every Friday night. Before it starts, I start getting happy. I start laughing to myself, because I love this so much. It's so fun. Happy Friday, Jim reads too slow. For sure. Thanks for coming by. Awesome. Hey Trish, thank you for coming by. Happy Friday. Yeah, very cool. Kick back, chill, and hopefully got uh some good reads with you. Hey Gorvidal. Yeah, right. We'll see. I'll definitely I'm gonna show some awesome stuff tonight, y'all. The Southern Gothic discussion is something that's grown out of my just thinking and getting into these these kind of a perspective shift because of the power of some works that I've got into recently. And it's right in my pocket. Hey baby. So I was kicking around not even doing the live tonight. Emily is here at the house, of course, right? But Emily had a carpal tunnel in both of her wrists and also a persistent pain because of nerves as well in her elbows. So she had a surgery to alleviate that. And so Emily has one arm that is unable to be used. It is it's pretty trying, that's for sure. So all the well wishes for Emily on her recovery uh, are appreciated. Hey baby. I'm thank you for watching. You don't have to watch, but I know I was like, well, she's watching, she's gonna be just posted up on the couch and maybe not talk much, with the typing with one hand. Hey Tyler, the Falcon. Happy Friday. Nice to see you. I'm gonna be showing some stuff, and I will invite whoever wants to come along for the discussion tonight on to just get on and talk through some Southern Gothic. If you've read any of these books, I'll be posting the link when I talk about the book, and we'll just see how it goes. Hey, Tom, LA Books, happy Friday. Yeah, there you go. That's right. That's right. Recovery is kind of long for it. I mean, it's just like it's a part you use all the time, all day, every day. Your elbows and your wrist. Hey Alexa, happy Friday. Nice to see you. Sure. Conrob in the house. Ineffable. Happy Friday. So I'm gonna talk about The Violent Buried Away, Flannery O'Connor, Toni Morrison, Sula, and Beloved. Light in August by William Faulkner, and Harry Crew's A Childhood, the biography of a place. Shout out to Plagued by Visions. Juan over there did a book exchange with me, and I picked up that cruise. I'm not finished with it, but I'm about three-quarters of the way through. So, I'm gonna talk about it, but not in a way of kind of pinning it down, right? Hey, Agent Quave. Nice to see you. Happy Friday. Mm. So, yeah, it will be, and it is just something that we can get on and talk about if anybody wants to. But I'm gonna start moving through just kind of my experience with reading this year, because this started off in January. Shout out to Flannery O January, right, where we did some Flannery O'Connor reading. I reread The Violent Buried Away, and with a small group, and others read Flannery O'Connor short stories. It was awesome. So in experiencing this again for a reread, it was really really fun, and I got deeper than I ever had been with the text before. Hey, Jesse reads and meditates. Happy Friday. Very cool. I miss books. Yeah, right. Stories, right? Well, at least you can hear us talk about books, right? If you can't have time for, so there's the link. I put it in the chat. If anybody does want to get on and kind of talk about any books or about Violent Bear Away first, or just Flannery O'Connor and things like that. Because a thing about Flannery O'Connor that I love, and the Southern Gothic kind of style, is very descriptive. You get the place. The place in Southern Gothic literature has a very special or more pronounced um, value, a higher value in the text a lot of times because the place is something that lends itself to being Southern Gothic, being what it is. The whole, lending to the narrative, lends to the characters in big ways in all Southern Gothic literature, in my experience, and especially the kind of things that I've got into lately with Toni Morrison. So I love The Violent Bear Away, and I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Hey, Christina, happy Friday. uh, Thanks for coming by, for sure. And I, you know, was just thinking more into it, trying to think of what is Flannery O'Connor doing, and still have yet to put out content like a dedicated video on that. Because it is very, very cool. You can go into a lot of symbology in Flannery O'Connor and all that kind of thing. So kept on with reading through the year. Read Sula by Toni Morrison and didn't start talking about it too much because Sula is something that is different than what I've come in contact with before. A very gentle female voice with Toni Morrison. And I didn't really quite put my finger on what it was that was making it so special, and something that is a perspective that I had never really come in contact with before. That's right. The Violent Bear Away is really, really cool. And Flannery O'Connor, the Bible was like her textbook, right? Jim reads too slow. Read. Uh, yeah, you read it in January with us, right? I loved your content on that, by the way. It was very cool. It seems like it might have slowed up the feed, but I'm sorry if it did, and if it didn't, then that's fine too. O'Connor definitely was a master at short stories. Very harsh truths, and yeah, she was a master of like an ironic twist, right? Hey, Idget reads and rambles. What's up, Quentin? How are you, buddy? Happy Friday. Thanks for coming by. This kind of twist that really catches you off guard. It's like a sucker punch, right? And her short stories are really cool like that. Everything that rises must converge is a wonderful example of that sucker punch. Now, her stories also, and even in a more masterful way, but in The Violent Bear Away, you see the most mature Flannery O'Connor effort of all of her writing, I think. I have very little experience with Toni Morrison to say what Sula was like, but I think Sula was like her second novel, if I'm not mistaken. And it is beautiful. And it is an illustration of living in fear and how people live like that and what you would do, just what human beings do, living in fear. And I didn't quite put my finger on much more than that, but was going, the book is wonderful and the story of Sula. Just was thinking on it more and more, right? Then read The Light in August. Faulkner's Light in August starts off with a kind of character that you see it could go really, really bad for her. We meet a white female, pregnant, traveling alone in Mississippi, and just with nothing but a little bundle that she's carrying around. And she's just country bumpkin, you know what I mean? And and just all the kindness is kind of heaped on her because nobody wants to see her fail, right? And this is just the way that that it plays out socially. But you can see that it could go really bad, and you feel for this character, right? And then you meet a character named Joe Christmas, and the book ends up becoming very, very much Joe Christmas's story. Hey SS, happy Friday! And Joe Christmas is a very, very hard character to endure the his story, and so I'm not trying to go into it spoiler wise, but we can talk all about it if somebody wants to get on and talk about even like Light in August or whatever. We'll just make it whatever it'll be. But I'm going to talk about Southern Gothic themes and things like this. So Light in August is really hardcore because Joe Christmas is a mixed race child and just is put up in an orphanage, put up um, no mother and father, doesn't know what he is, and spends his life trying to figure that in a world that is not going to treat him well either way in the South here at that time, right? It's just really, really tough. Joe Christmas is a top, is a top five Faulkner character for sure. Maybe a top character of all time, and just an amazing character. Byron, yeah, Byron, what a simple. Yeah, that's for sure. I uh I tell you, just the ending and her story ended up being this kind of comedy, a comedic side to that how unbelievably heavy Joe Christmas's story is. Very, very heavy. Right. Nice. Hey, Nancy. Happy Friday. Thanks for coming by. For sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In the house. That's awesome. All right, then. And I mean, I'll go back. I'm gonna go back through all these, but just kind of given. Lately, I finished Beloved by Toni Morrison. That was a horrifying listen. I did it on audiobook, and now I've read, you know, all of this pretty much. I went, not straight through, not like I would normally read, but just picking it up and going over portions that I've listened to, finding them so that I could read the poetic language. And really, Morrison plays with narrative a lot in Beloved. There is an experimental aspect or just a playful aspect and a real mastery of literature and delivery of all different kinds of writing. She does some stream of consciousness kind of stuff. She does delivery in all different kinds of ways in Beloved, but it turns out being very off-putting in a wonderful way to inform the narrative because it's really creepy. It's a ghost story. Beloved is a very hardcore ghost story. Told from the perspective of an escaped slave. We're in the storyline is told in kind of retrospect. We're at a time and place where the escaped slave, her name is Sida, is living in Cincinnati, Ohio with her daughter Denver. And just to talk about it and say and describe her as an escaped slave doesn't do any justice for what the immense power that Toni Morrison imbibes this character with. She goes through so much, and Beloved is the ghost of her dead child that she murdered rather than have that child go into slavery. And it is hardcore and very, very, very affecting. So it works as a horror. Yeah, do it, baby. Do it, baby. Do it, baby. I'm sorry. She's definitely feeling some pain. So all the well wishes is very much appreciated for sure. She had surgery, Christina. I had said it earlier. I think before you had shown up, maybe. So she's just on the mend from some elbow and wrist surgery. Um, yeah, due for a reread, ineffable for sure. It was a quick read for me, but I did reread it over and over. I did, you know what I mean? Because I listened to it on Audible because I can listen to things at work now. But to get into listening to it, especially something like Beloved, I had to listen over to things to really just follow everything. But I'm getting there. Definitely getting there. Yes, very cool. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Christina. So, how hardcore it is. Okay, now with Beloved, I was really affected by how horrific it is. It's very scary. And not just, thank you very much, Trish, and not just in an aspect of it being that uh, there's a ghost story and it's scary because it's creepy and this embodied, you know, dead baby of hers that is now a grown person, like growing up. This ghost is like living with him with Sida and Denver, and it's wild like this. But it's I put my finger on by it being so horrifying that this was, albeit a time before, earlier than things like Light in August, definitely The Violent Buried Away. Um, that it's from the perspective of Black Americans at that time. Toni Morrison is writing from that perspective. Hey, Gina Strayer, happy Friday. Thanks for coming by. And it's something that I haven't read enough of, and haven't had that it's that perspective of it, and it is very, very scary how primal it is to live from a perspective of fear, and that kind of thing came through in Sula. Remember, like this perspective of fear, but in Beloved, you're actually in a situation like you're being hunted through the woods like animals. You know, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is so scary. So it made me think, and then I'm looking and I'm kind of in this putting things in another perspective, or like putting it's augmenting my perspective going through these kind of things. I started with Light in August because it's very much concerned with gender and race uh, in the South at that time, and somebody who is just completely without identity in this culture that is so wrapped up in identity. Yeah, it's amazing. It is amazing, Gina. And the horror is real. That's the main thing that really just is the perspective uh changer for me. Is how real it was um for people. And just a complete loss of humanity. right? That there was a complete loss of humanity in the South at that time, and a generation after in Beloved, or the generation of the the North Atlantic slave trade, right? And this kind of unbelievable loss of humanity that happened for a long time. And then and we see after effects in the South of this in books like Light in August and The Violent Buried Away. But we see it even in the culture through in all different kinds of ways, trying to come to grips with this loss of humanity and what has been done, and how do you live with yourself? How do you live with yourself at that point, right? It's ridiculous. So somebody who goes through life with a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, like Joe Christmas, you know, Joe Christmas is not a character that you feel for, that you um relate to. Not like that. It's just so hard to go through a life with a character that has it so tough. But with but with with Beloved, it's just a kind of a hard life and a torture, a bad life, and a people treating you wrong your whole life. This kind of a really hard life and a really bad life, but then taken to an extreme that is a reality that happens, and it just is. There's something so strong in it. I can see now why it was just like the best American novel written was said, on something, the best American novel written. It was like for 25 years or something, 20 years. Amazing, amazing. Right. And even people that helped him out, like the woman, that had a relationship with him, completely treated him how they treated him based on his being black, when he was, I assume like an albino black. That's what, or he was just mixed, but just really light skinned mixed, mixed race. So I don't know. I just it was really cool to go through that, and I will do a video and just go through Light in August and just talk all about it and go through it. I'm not trying to, put it out there on a live and out here on a discussion, but just stay more thematic towards the Southern Gothic with this. And it works just perfectly. That's what really drove it home, was Beloved being this ghost story, because there's nothing more gothic than a ghost story. And it is set, I think it's set in Kentucky, is where one of the plantation was, where they lived all together, the characters in Beloved, Sweet Home. And then they escaped to Ohio, to Cincinnati, Ohio. Wow. Best American Book Time with Ryan. There you go. Right? Yeah, Whale Lover, that's for sure. Book Time with Ryan rocks. Happy Friday, brother. Thanks for coming by. Yeah. Very cool. For sure. Man, and there's always that comedic aspect, this Southern Gothic. And another thing, why is a Southern Gothic, being this grotesque, crazy, wild characters, this kind of thing. And I think there is something to be said about it being more typical, uh, uh just in Southern writing in general, without it even being push to a Gothic genre, but just Southern writers will have Southern characters, and there is extremes a lot all over the place, right? And the comedy is in that kind of irony, something that hits you tongue in cheek and gets you very well. Very cool, Idget. Quentin rocks. It is fantastic. That's for sure. For sure, right? And there's some good content on that on the booktubes, that's for sure. Uh Ami, who is single-handedly responsible for my Borges love. He has done some cool content on chapter 23, and Rick Harsh, right? It's amazing. I mean, for me, I mean, I'm a Southern boy, and that's the thing. SS is Southern Gothic really speaks to my soul. And I didn't really plan on doing a Southern Gothic kind of focus this year. This is just how it turned out. So I started reading, you know, whatever I wanted. And now it's turned into this right here. So finally, I am working towards Absalom for sure. I think I'm gonna read Go Down Moses next, and then I'll read Absalom for sure. So Go Down Moses is next on the Faulkner. But I am reading right now Harry Crews, A Childhood Biography of a Place. Shout out again at Plagued by Visions. Juan over there and I did a book exchange, and this is what he hooked me up with. This is a pretty much straightforward biography. It reads very easily for me. Look at this artwork though. This line of cover. This is a really cool edition. Thank you very much for this one. It definitely made my day. But it's nothing out of the ordinary. I see a lot of this could be a friend, this could be their family, this could be anybody, their family. That it they're very poor. They're very low income in this book, his family and the people that they know, that's that kind of thing. But they're southern folk, they're in Georgia actually. What it is, and with Harry Crews, A Childhood Biography of a Place, it's a Georgia, a town that he's in, and he's talking about, one second. I dropped the mouse, that's for sure. So we know Georgia, you know what I mean, I know Georgia. But um how Georgia is depicted in Beloved is complete horror show. I think it's called Alfred, Georgia, the city in Beloved, or the town. Maybe it's even like a few streets, but it has a name, Alfred, Georgia, I believe. It even just saying it, I mean, it's like puts a bad taste in my mouth. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I think Cormac McCarthy is Southern Gothic. I've only read Blood Meridian, but I did think, it was Southern Gothic when I read it. I read it right out of high school and didn't really know or care who Cormac McCarthy was. Just read it, and I didn't look up the author, care who, where he wrote from or where he was from. But it did feel like that, and it is, with his Faulkner influence. I didn't had not read Faulkner at that point either, but now reading Faulkner and seeing, you know, it is Southern Gothic for sure. About deep South as it gets. Yeah. it does seem like it's really a communal, a community driven genre, you know, because it is the place, it is the setting that makes the genre, that makes it, very much Southern Gothic. Yeah. Did you feel that? Yeah, see, I don't go for something that's marketed Southern Gothic, uh, now, like a no, a new novel, unless it goes and I hear people talk about it and it's just, oh man, this is awesome. You have to read it by people that I respect what they say. I know what they are getting into. Then I'm not gonna go for anything like that. I don't go to Barnes and Noble, or I don't go any place to look for new books. I'm not, totally uh lost a lot of faith in the industry to push me something that's going to blow my mind. I mean, I want Beloved. Who's out there got Beloved on a, front stand, maybe in the Barnes and Noble Classics area, something like that. But it's really cool. Very cool. Like, yeah, Outer Dark and stuff like that. I might check out some of that. But I'm intrigued by Harry Crews. I'm not getting a lot out of the biography. I can see why people would get a lot out of it if you weren't from Georgia, and but it's just kind of telling me a friend's, backstory biography, something like that. It's not, it's cool that he's so much, from my place and from my time. He definitely had a hard life, had a really poor life, and getting into those kind of things is, I mean, it's tough, it sucks, it's hard out there. And it's hard down here in the South, I mean, but we brought it on ourselves, is really, really what it comes down to. That's what I wanted to really get to with this kind of thing, that there's this pain that is like self-inflicted pain that is comes from inside because of, not being able to really accept what has been done as far as a real loss of humanity in southern uh United States, and in the world in general, you know what I mean? Like, it was a human uh oversight problem, a loss of humanity on a grand scale that luckily, happily, we are on the other side of something like that being widespread and, allowed or even used as industry. Insane. But to get into this kind of thing, really roots that are societal, like roots in the culture and the society that make the dynamics that then in the violent Bear It Away and things like, what's shown in the Harry Crews, seriously, it makes it, gives you more depth, gives you more depth for it. And I love it. I love it. It's really, really interesting. And they've kind of built on each other. I love how the characters are depicted as always something where it's relatable, but or you might just know somebody like that if you're from the South for sure, or has that kind of mannerism, but pretty clearly what you're getting and all this kind of stuff. They're great writers, but these writers are poets as well. Flannery O'Connor was probably the most methodical out of these as far as like process, but Faulkner was a complete master that then just experimented with it. And Toni Morrison's voice and narration of storytelling is probably one of the greatest that I've ever read. It's amazing. And to and and awesome to experience it from the perspective of a black Americans going through this kind of time. I didn't really know what I was in for with Toni Morrison's Beloved, that's for sure. Heard it was great. Jack over at Rambling Raconteur always sings its praises. He was very right about it being scary, but also just a top five, like a perfect book. I would say it very much is a perfect book. That kind of thing, nobody else could write it. It was perfect for Toni Morrison. I hear it is based on a true story. It's of an escaped slave, an escaped ex-slave, that Toni Morrison had heard her story of her escaping and that she had murdered one of her own kids rather than the child go into slavery. And she decided the story had to be told, right? And so she made this ghost story, and it's hardcore. Paul D. Paul D is Sida's husband, and a very hardcore uh, Black American, African, you know, imported African. It's ridiculous. And his life is so hard, but he's so stoic about it. He just keeps moving, and you follow this character through incarceration after incarceration, and also just having the worst time of it. So hardcore. Nice. Very cool, Gorvidal. Very cool. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Jack is better read than all of us. Like all of us. I just like if Jack says it, I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm gonna take his word for it. Jack is better read than all of us. Um, but little details like uh Paul D carrying a nail around in his mouth all the time. Paul D has a nail in his mouth because you never know when you're gonna get tied up again. You go walk in the wrong place, you go get shown up in the wrong place, you never know when you're going to get tied up again, and you need a nail to help you get out of them ropes or whatever it is. It's insanity, like, to just be right in that, and it goes complete horror show. um I gotta, I'll talk more about it, talk more into it, and go like that on a video that's dedicated for it so that people know that it's kind of coming. But I can't wait to talk about those more, just in more depth of the story, you know? But seeing how human beings cope with this kind of thing, that's what kind of gets driven home. Seeing how people cope with living in with immense fear, being treated like animals, and there being no real way out, no real way out at all. Even being free, their life was the hardest, but also the most worth it. I mean, you living free was more worth it, than being a slave. Even though, of course, you get fed all, you get fed and all this kind of stuff. It was ridiculous, and it was very, very affecting. So, kind of thanks for letting me get all that kind of thing out there and off my chest in a way. But I think once I go through them and dig into each individually more, then maybe can come back at it afterwards with some more bigger ideas too, or some more exploration as well. And any kind of thoughts or ideas on it, just leave down in the comments, because I definitely am down to explore more, or if anybody wants to team up for some kind of discussion content wise on that too. Because I'm down for it. If I see that kind of thing, I'll watch it. Discussion of Southern Gothic literature, talking Toni Morrison, Faulkner, Flannery, maybe Harry Crews, whoever. Uh, and even we can throw in more Southern Gothic. I haven't, or even just Southern writers. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be just Gothic, but this is just what I've read recently, and I haven't read. Um, I mean, A Childhood. It is kind of Southern Gothic, but not Gothic really. It is just hardcore. I mean, it's Southern. It's violent. Also, just to get off it for a bit, then, since we've already gone like 40 minutes on the Southern Lit, I did also read another Richard Brautigan. I read Dreaming of Babylon. That was very, very fun. It was very light. It was a cool thing to have right in between all of this heavy stuff. Dreaming of Babylon is like a private investigator story. He's he's investigating something. He's totally inept. He doesn't have any tools. He doesn't have any means to do anything. He doesn't have any tools to do anything. He doesn't have any money. He's completely broke. It's just ridiculous. It's hilarious, and it's a good story. It's how it's told out, and it is probably the most lucid and story like plot wise, something like that, that I've ever read from Brautigan. All the other stuff is more abstract, more heady, more idealistic, things like that. But Dreaming of Babylon is a straightforward story, and it is fun as hell. It's hilarious. Brautigan's funny, and he's really tender, and he's really caring, with his characters. Uh, he will do some kind of gross out stuff. Wow. Yeah, it's ridiculous, and you're right. Just a chapter. Yeah, it was funny. I wouldn't mind rereading it. Hey, Christy Louise Dostoevsky in Space. Happy Friday. Thanks for coming by. Hopefully Kevin's hanging out. Either way, thank you for supporting always. I did a whole Southern Gothic talk for like the first 40 minutes. So now, just going over some stuff, but you got to read some Toni Morrison if you haven't, Christy, but you're going to cry. I mean, it's so hardcore. Toni Morrison is so tough to experience this kind of thing, her perspective. And uh and it should be experienced. That's the thing. We should face this kind of thing more, and it's an older book. It's yeah, it's out there and people know, but there's something to be said for really just championing it, generation after generation. It has to happen. Can't forget. You know what I mean? Things like this at all. So I'm thinking about teaming up with a buddy on Instagram and doing some Brautigan talk. I've read like 4 novels by him now. I'll probably read another one. I've been wanting to read Willard and His Bowling Trophies. I have it right here. It's kind of a mystery. So this one's labeled as a perverse mystery. I don't know, and we'll see what if it's a straightforward story, lucidly told, the way that you know Dreaming of Babylon was, or if it's more abstract, something like In Watermelon Sugar or Trout Fishing in America. That book is just surreal, completely surreal. Very cool. Nice. Got some good dinner and got home. Very cool. Hey, y'all. Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, they eat each other, you know, alive. So that's, you know, you don't get much more. Yeah. I just read Beloved. Oh my God. I just read Beloved. And yeah, I mean, I was scared. I was breathing heavy. I stopped, reading and just to experience and to really feel where it was that I was at. And I can still be there. Like, I mean, I can feel it now, just talking about it. And I can touch that kind of thing because it was really that powerful of a work, period. Mm, do it. Nice. Well, I can't wait to read it. I'll read Willard and his bowling trophies next. That'll be my next. Brown again. I really enjoy him. Some stuff. So, I mean, trout fishing in America, definitely, I did not enjoy too much. A lot of the times I was like, where am I? Where is this? What are you talking about right here? Like, what is really happening? And there was a lot of this, a lot of relationship stuff, or that just didn't have much of a place. It wasn't building anything. I was just, I was like, okay, I see what's happening, but it's just too abstract. It doesn't work. Something like that. Thank you, Michael. Happy Friday for sure. All good, Michael from LA. Yeah, me too. I love Southern Gothic. We definitely do. I love it. Oh, it's ridiculous, isn't it, Christy? I tell you. So Sula, I read Sula and it wasn't all that, with me. And I mean, it wasn't that it didn't hit me like so hard. The end was definitely, I mean, it definitely is an emotional ride, and it's just got a lot to say. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful work, and it is sad. And I got it, but I couldn't really I didn't really understand how I felt about Sula. That's why I didn't talk about it on the channel too much. But once I read Beloved now, I can see. And I said earlier, I think it's just that the perspective is from a black African brought to America in the North Atlantic slave trade. and their lifestyle here and what it was that they were slaves and living like this. And Paul D, when he learns that he was worth $900 and how it affects him and how he's looking at the world, and he's like, people, you know, are worth, what are we worth? What am I worth? What is this person worth? I wonder what this person will be worth. It's crazy. And it just takes you there to really take you there, you know? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right, Michael. I saw Scott Bradfield was talking about those and put out some content on those, and because he had reread the Harry Cruise. So this is my first Harry Cruise childhood. So that's what I read. Just I am reading it right now. I haven't finished it yet. I'm about three-quarters of the way through. Yeah. So I'm about to start The Tenant by Roland Topper. I'm sorry, PG, I ain't finna read that. I'm sorry I'm slacking on it. I really just went over and over Beloved. Like, I probably read the book 3 times, you know? Just reading different parts over and over, different times. Or listening to it, And I think it was done very well because it's read by Toni Morrison. Did I tell you that? The Audible it- of they're read by Toni Morrison. I saw other titles read by Toni Morrison, read by Toni Morrison. It's ridiculous. So there's nothing better than to get it. You know that it's delivered the way that she wanted it expressed, the dialogue, the way that the narrative is delivered, she's delivering it the way she wants it expressed. You just take it. You just take it. It's great. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. You know, I brought up also Paul D carrying around a nail in his mouth all the time. He always has a nail under his tongue because you never know when you're going to get tied up again. It's ridiculous. It's great. So I don't know. I'm getting more into audiobooks. I got time, so I'm getting more into audiobooks. If y'all want, uh, please give me some advice. How do you enjoy your audiobooks? Where do you get them? I got Libby, I got Hoopla. I search for things that like I want to read. I've looked for what's coming up. Roland Topor, uh, The Tenant. I didn't find that one, and I looked on YouTube as well for like just like a reading, an audiobook or whatever. Never found it. And then Bridge on the Drina, The Bridge on the Drina by Ivo Andrique. Ivo Andrique. I never found this one either. Never found an audio version. So all good, but I am interested in where can I find stuff that it maybe isn't on that kind of thing. I mean, everything's been kind of read on audio, maybe not everything, but there's a lot, right? If something's super popular, it's probably been read on audio. Nice. I've never ever read a Barry Hannah or William Gay at all. I don't know. I don't know them, but I'm definitely down to check them out. Very cool. Very cool. Tyler knows what's up. Right on. So that's what's coming up. I don't have a lot of plans coming up right now as far as reading. I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna read a lot more, right? Like I'm just going to. But what all I have set up in the immediate future is Bridge on the Drina and the Tenant Roland Topor. Actually, I have been kind of thinking of doing something crazy. All right. Let me kick it around before I drop it. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna throw a teaser. I'll throw a teaser out there. Very cool. Get library cards. Nice. Nice. Very cool. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And you know, that Andrique gets um praise all over the place. It gets praise all over the place. You hadn't read it yet though. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if Volman's writing a forward to it, it's worth a read for sure. But in any NYRB classic, if it's in that edition, I'll buy any of them. Summer of Faulkner. So I heard that they're doing the Snopes trilogy, and I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do Absalom for that. I think I might just read Absalom and do that because I'm loving I'm loving Faulkner. I mean, I'm loving Faulkner. It's awesome. It's amazing stuff. And I love Toni Morrison. I'm loving Toni Morrison, but let me tell you, I don't know if I want more Toni Morrison for a while. I might reread Beloved or re-listen to Beloved again because I before I read some more Toni Morrison because it's just hardcore and it's just so visceral. You know, it's so visceral. Very cool, Chrissy. Yeah, I can listen. I can listen for a good amount of time during my day. So if I get into it, then it'll be very cool. As long as I can find things that I want. Because I already have so much that I want to read. I'm not trying to find more. I want to find things that I have so that I can listen to it. And then when I'm at home, I can thumb through, my normal reading time. I can thumb through that And I can read a short story, and I can read some short stories or something along with that. That's right. I know. It's taken me forever. It's taken me forever to read Beloved or to listen to Beloved. But not really, it was just because I want I was really enthralled by the delivery that Toni Morrison does in the reading. Is it trudging? Nice. Wow. Yeah, and I've heard things just like it, like that. That it's just a dark, like oppressive dark thing. All right. Yep. I mean, I think that's what's going on. That's my idea. But I got time. So all good. Thank you very much, y'all. Happy Friday. Thank you for coming by. Y'all make Fridays so cool. Hope you enjoyed the Southern Gothic exploration and going through what I've read lately of this year and even this last week, right? It's on. I'm gonna finish a biography of a place. I'm not. I mean, unless there's something spectacular about it, it's a Southern biography, and it's really cool to just learn more about Harry Cruz, that he was such a Southern boy. Very cool. Thank you for coming by, everybody. Always supporting the channel and giving an hour hanging out with me. Catch you on the next one, BookTube. Bye bye.